Hey Gearheads, it's Jeff with Gear Report. I'm here in the studio at Gear Report headquarters, and this morning, kind of early on a Saturday, sorry for anyone who is attempting to watch this live. This is going to be available on our YouTube channel and on Gunstreamer and YouTube shortly. That's really the main purpose of doing these live streams, is to get some video up there. This time we're going to talk about some night vision from Pulsar. This particular model is the Edge. It is the, I don't want to call it bottom of the barrel, okay? It's their lowest price point. It's the most budget-oriented night vision that Pulsar offers, and it is actually for a first generation, Gen 1 Plus night vision. It's getting down in the price point that you see some of the new smart optics, which are digital day-night vision optics. Like you may find from a company like, got snagged, here we go, like ATN. We've got a smart rifle scope in there that's a day-night scope, and that's going to be about $500 for that type of technology, and it depends on basically a digital camera built into the optic and then an infrared illuminator that is used to light up whatever you're looking at. Okay, that's your smart optics solution. What we have here for a little bit more, so your price on this real Gen 1 Plus night vision goggle is going to be, I just checked this morning, so we're early in April 2019, and it was $720 shipped on Amazon Prime. So for a little bit more than the smart optic that's basically a fancy digital camera, we have a real night vision optic that has an intensifier tube, which means you're going to get some benefit from the night vision aspect itself, where it's actually amplifying the light. You're not completely dependent on the infrared illuminator. So let's do a quick tour of these night vision goggles. So again, these are the Edge GS. There are two models of the Edge GS, a 1x20 and a 3.5 by, actually it's not listed on here. There's another version that's like a 3.5 magnification, and I think it has a larger aperture than this 20mm, but regardless, we have this literally the cheapest thing that Pulsar makes for real night vision. So what we have here in this housing, it's a polymer housing. It's pretty lightweight. The model number again, Edge GS 1x20 NV goggles. Here we go. Give you a look at that. We've got a few things to take note of here. First, it is a real night vision goggle, which does amplify the ambient light. It does so via a little power source here. Let me get this cap off. So in here we have two AAA batteries. Now these are the batteries that came with the unit. Geez, Pulsar, I apologize. It's taken way longer than it should have to get this review done. I've had this for over a year, still got the same AAA batteries in it, and it still works just fine. This is a little tricky getting the cap back on. Battery cap. Slide it down in and turn it. Nope. This is the danger of going live, is you mess things up. The whole world sees it. That's a problem. I was turning it the wrong direction. All right, so you put it in, and you turn it counterclockwise. I was trying to turn it clockwise to tighten, to lock it in place. I was turning it the wrong direction. So if you do it wrong, you get the wrong result. That's the way it works typically. So plastic housing, it runs on two AAA batteries that you see in here. We have for controls, there is an on button. So there's also a little indicator LED here. So when it's off, when the power's off, that LED is not illuminated. And then when you turn it on, it does illuminate. And there we go. Now it's illuminated. Got to hold that on button for a second or two, I think. So it doesn't come on when you don't want it to. All right, we'll turn that off. And just so you know, I've got the studio lights on in here, so we're not operating in a low light environment. So I have the caps on here. All right, with the power turned off, I'll just show you. If we were operating at night, we'd pop these caps off. They just have a really small aperture in them to let just a tiny bit of light in. And that's why it's safe to turn it on here with the lights on, although I don't want to do too much of that. I will also show you for control. So we had the on off, so you hold it to turn it on, hold it again to turn it off. Infrared is the little button that says IR controls the illuminator. It's a little infrared flashlight that is built in right here on the top of the unit. So you have to have it turned on in order for that to come on. So we make sure it's on. You know, after I said the batteries lasted that long, they may finally be getting weak. There, it's on. So now if I push the IR button, then you should see, yeah, there it is, a little bit of red light showing up in here. The third control that we have, so we have power, we have the on-off for the infrared. The third is the intensity of the infrared, so we can turn it down or all the way up with this little rotating knob on top, little potentiometer. So let's see, I think that should be down and that should be full bright. So that is how that works, and we'll go ahead and turn this off again. So that's what we have for controls. They're pretty simple. You've got a little bit of adjustment here on the back end for your eyes, and on the other end you can focus by turning either one of the barrels that hold the lens out at the front. So on the back side we have rubber eye cups so you can get a decent seal up along here, but you see there's a gap on the side for light to get in, and that's bad when you're doing night vision stuff. So there's a little rubber flap that you can fold up on either side to block that ambient light out and you know, help your eyes adjust, because you got two things going on with night vision, right? You have the ambient light being amplified by the intensifier tube in the goggle itself, but then you also have the buildup of rhodopsin, the chemical in your eye that helps you to see better at night. So, you know, blocking out any ambient light with these little flaps is going to help to make your eyes more adapted, better adapted to seeing at night anyway. All right, so what else do we need to talk about here? I'm going to put, and I'm going to link this video, embed this video in an article on the website on Gear-Report.com. So you can go check us out there, Gear-Report.com. And in that, I'll put all the product specs. I mean, they're here in the manual. If you'd like to see them, you go to the website and look at them as well. I don't want to bore you with all the product specs because you can go find those in the article. I want to show you kind of the hands-on how things work here. So it came with a fancy skull crusher mount here, and it has a fold-down piece. There's a button on the left side where you can change the orientation of this. I think I have it tightened down too much. There we go. So let's set it down here, and then that will allow us to tip it up or down. All right, that's how that's going to work. There's, you know, it looks kind of like a rail here on the bottom, and it has a little screw, a knurled screw on the back. We're going to line that screw up with the little embedded screw here on the top, just like I've got it upside down. That's why I didn't want to do that. That's the danger of doing this kind of thing early in the morning before you've had coffee. All right, so we'll put it on this way. There we go. Once we get that lined up, the screw in. There, now we have that locked in. And the skull crusher goes on here, and you have a chin strap to hold it in place. And you know, I'm told they call these skull crushers because in order to really get everything sitting in the right place, you have to have it kind of tight. All right, so then we have adjustment here. There we go. We'll get that down where we want it in front, and then lock that in, get the angle right, and lock that adjustment in. So we got two adjustments. Once it's adjusted properly, then you can use the push button to swing it up out of the way, or we push it again, swing it back down, get it in front of you. So, you know, if you're on a firearm, you know, and you're shooting, or you're using tools, or you know, you need to do something up close, flip it up out of the way when you need it, push button, flip it down. And then we've got the power, and oh, that's interesting. So as soon as I turn the power on, I can see on the camera there's a little infrared. It must be part of the autofocus system. Oh, I wish I could show you this, but I can't think of a way to show you that while we're filming here, but that is pretty neat. It's a little strobe infrared light that must be part of the autofocus system of the camera. So anyhow, that's not distracting. Let me turn this back off. And you know, other interesting thing about this is once you power it off, the intensifier tubes have already been powered up, and their sensitivity is already kind of woken up, and it'll show you a little bit of the image for a while, and it gradually fades out over time. All right, so we've got our focus adjustments for each eye out here. Oh, let's turn that back off. That just got a little too bright. All right, so we have that, and then the IR illuminator on the other side. But anyhow, I wanted to show you the skull crusher mount that it came with, how that worked. Pretty cool. So what's the bottom line here? The bottom line is that if you want to get a high-end military spec, third, fourth generation, third plus, whatever, like the PVS-14 that we reviewed a couple years ago, you can go look at the site, you know, again, Gear-Report.com, go check it out and search for that review, and you'll see where that was a pretty high-end monocular, and I'm thinking that was $3,500 for one eye. This has got both eyes, $720. Is there a performance difference between the mil spec, you know, high-end PVS-14 and then this Edge GS from Pulsar? Yeah, there is, but for what most people do, if I were going into combat, I'd probably want the highest end, most illumination, clearest picture, broadest field of view I could get. That's where the military versions come in. If I'm hunting, you know, we're going to do some coyote hunting here in theory, and hog hunting. Caleb, our hunting editor, is actually setting up a hog hunt for us here in North Carolina, so maybe we'll get to use something like this then. A PVS-14 for $3, $4, $5 grand, depending on what model you get. That's a lot of money for a casual hunter who wants to go do some hog eradication at night, or coyote eradication, or something goes bump in the night and I want to go check it out without flipping lights on. You know, maybe this is an option. I happen to live in town where that's not as realistic. People who live out in the country, maybe you need to be able to keep an eye on your property at night without flipping lights on. So something like this is a nice budget option for that. How does it compare to your smart optics? So, oh, sorry about that Velcro. If we look at something like this, so speaking of smart optics, this original X-Sight from ATM, you can see instead of having an illuminator built in, it's actually hooked to the side. It's a flashlight that it's on a separate mount, In order to get night vision out of a smart optic like this, which again is kind of at a similar price point, that it's really what's the alternative to something like the low-end night vision is the smart night vision. You flip this on at night without the illuminator, you can't see anything. So that's really the big difference is, sure, this is a Gen 1 and it amplifies light less than the real high-end models, but at least it gives you some illumination. You can do some things without having the illuminator on, which is important. Let's talk about if someone else has night vision who's looking for you. You know, maybe there is some sort of, you're in law enforcement. You need a really budget option to at least give you something. As soon as you flip that illuminator on, everyone else with night vision can see you. You can run this without the illuminator and actually still get some benefit and light amplification. So is it the best thing out there? No. So where did we use it? I've explored around the property here at Gear Report. We took it to a few different events. The Denton Military Vehicle Rally. We actually have a video posted if you want to go see that. And I'll put a link to that in the article as well. But I smiled because the video starts with Chris, our camping editor, dancing out. He was in front of the original Battlewagon Humvee. Light Force sent us a bunch of lights for that Humvee, and I'm getting ready to install them on the latest Humvee that we have that we're doing project work on. But there's a set of infrared lights on that truck. So we fired that up and spotlighted Chris, you know, a good distance from us out there dancing. So you can see that video. We took it to the Iraq Veteran 8888 media shoot. It's an event that happens every year. We've gone a few years. We've taken it 2 years to that because we've kept it that long. Sorry, Pulsar. And passed it around to some other media types after hours there at that event. And everyone was pretty universally impressed with what you get for the money compared to spending 4, 5, 6 times as much on, you know, mil-spec night vision. And honestly, the mil-spec stuff's a little bit better, but is it that much better? If you get your focus dialed in well on these, they're actually pretty good. So for most people, I think this is a pretty good option. It really depends on what you're going to use it for. So, you know what? I don't think I've seen any. Let me just check the chat real quick here and see if anyone has popped in, said anything. No, as expected, it's early, folks. I didn't expect anyone to be up interacting on this. Wanted to get this recorded for you. If you have any questions, since no one's lived on to give me live questions, leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to get back to those and let you know, give you some feedback on those questions as soon as I can. What else could I tell you about this? Let's flip through the specs real quick. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I think some things that are important are field of view, and it's 36 degrees, which means that I think it's at 65 yards. I don't see it right here, but at 100 yards, it's going to be 65 feet. I believe that's what that meant. And a couple basic specs here. The weight of the Skull Crusher is 0.2 kilograms, so 7 ounces. And then the weight of the unit itself is 22.9, which is surprising. It felt a little bit lighter to me. That's really important when it's actually on your head. Oh, you know what I didn't talk about? I actually tried very briefly driving with these in the original Battlewagon before we sold it to get the new one. And they actually worked pretty well, especially in conjunction with those IR lights from Light Force that are on the light bar up above the windshield. Really lit things up, really did well. Depth perception can be an issue, especially if you're talking about a monocular. That's why I didn't even try it with the PVS 14 with these binocular night vision goggles. Driving under the goggles felt a little bit less scary in terms of lack of depth perception. Yeah, and it just occurred to me, the other thing to be careful of, if you get some night vision, the skull crusher is great for affixing them to your head, but what it doesn't offer is any protection for you. So a little story, when I did the PVS 14 review, some of the field work, as far as testing it, I'm a little embarrassed to admit, they asked me before, who was it? We have to go look up who sent those. I apologize. TMVC, I think. Yeah, pretty sure that's who it was. Said, you know what, you've never worn night vision before? We're going to send you a bump helmet as well. I said, really, a bump helmet? You know, I'm not trying to be all tactical here. I just want to review the goggles. They said, no, trust me. If you've never worn them, you're going to lose depth perception. You're going to run into things. And sure enough, while I was out testing those goggles, I was walking down a trail in the woods at scout camp at night and walked right into a low-hanging tree branch. It was actually coming up a hill and accelerating into that branch. And I'm telling you, I saw a little bit of stars with the helmet. Without the helmet, I think it would have knocked me out probably. If nothing else, it would have left a big gash in my forehead. So if you get some night vision, I'm not trying to make you all tactical and say get a bump helmet. Get a bump helmet, because when you bump into stuff, it hurts, and you will until you get adjusted to maneuvering, walking around, you know, whatever, with the night vision on. So let me know what questions you have, and I'll get to those. Other things we're going to have coming up. We got a lot of things we're going to do on live stream soon. We did a couple videos last weekend that didn't turn out as well as I'd hoped on the Battlewagon 2.0 Humvee and some of the upgrades we've done. I may actually redo some of those this weekend. I had some Wi-Fi connectivity issues that I think I've addressed, so we may do some outside of the studio reviews soon. Some other things that we'll look at, if you can see, we just got a medical kit. So Brownells sent this. I can not knock anything else over back there. It's Adventure Medical Kits, and they call this the Grizzly. It's a 1 to 14 person kit that it has a trauma pack, some fracture care, some wound and burn care stuff in it, as well as a wilderness and travel medicine is what they call the guide that's in here. I think I'll look at this on a live stream pretty soon. May even grab one of these Lucky Shot. They call this the Skull Rocks Glass, and it has a 308 bullet embedded in it. So may take a look at that before sending that off to TJ. May talk about the Peltor Tactical 500 Bluetooth hearing protection. Who knows? May even talk about some of the firearms back here. We haven't looked at the Swagger bipod yet. There's another option. So let me know if any of these things are interesting to you, and maybe we'll bump those up higher on the list. A lot of things we could talk about. So thanks, and I think that's going to be it for now. We'll see you at the range.